योगः कर्मसु कौशलम्.
I would like to give my sincere thanks to Professor Jagdish Joshi sir, Director UGC HRDC, the coordinator of this refresher course in physical education, Dr. Parikshit Singh Mandora sir, co-coordinator of this refresher course, Dr. Jignasha Waghela madam, for giving me this opportunity to interact with the most important intellectual people of the physical education. Actually, this will be not a lecture for my side. It will be interaction between me and you, and I will try to give my best and try to change your concept regarding the assignment given to me. This the topic which I have assigned by the concerned the extreme coordinator, that is experimental research and threats in validity, which is comes under the experimental research. This entire session, which is taken by me, it will be in bilingual language. This is English or Hindi, and it will be totally interactive. Just because of in this pandemic, we are trying to teach the student, but they are not able to get what they have taken from the offline classes. So this is I will try to interact as much as possible with you. जैसा कि मुझे दिशा निर्देश दिया गया है, मैं हिंदी और इंग्लिश दोनों ही लैंग्वेज का यूज करूंगा और पूरी तरह से इंटरेक्टिव क्लास होगा. So आई एम गोइंग टू स्टार्ट माय लेक्चर, and I will start my lecture with the famous quotation given by Albert Einstein, that the make everything as simple as possible, but not simpler. I have taken this, I am using this quotation just because I want to make experimental research as simple as possible, but not simpler. This is my way to teach experimental research, and I will try to make your concept clear until I conclude my lecture. So this will be my presentation outline. I will deliver my lecture, or I will interact with you people in two broader concepts. For the two broader concepts, first I will discuss about the basic concepts related to experimental research, and then I will go to the traits, which is our second topic of interaction. In basic concept of research, I will discuss about what is experimental research, what are the different types of experimental research, what are the different variable and what is the meaning of variable in experimental research, and different steps taken during conduction of experimental research. Similarly, in relation to threats, I will talk about the internal validity. What is the meaning of internal validity? What is the role of internal validity? Then I will talk about the external validity, and then we will discuss about the various way of controlling these threats. मेरी प्रेजेंटेशन दो पार्ट में होगी. पहले मैं बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट की बात करूंगा, फिर मैं थ्रेड्स की बात करूंगा जो एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च में आती है. बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट में मैं एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च क्या है, टाइप्स कितने हैं, वेरिएबल क्या होते हैं एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च में, स्टेप्स क्या लिए जाते हैं, उसी तरह इंटरनल और एक्सटर्नल वैलिडिटी क्या होती है, और उसको जो थ्रेड्स अफेक्ट करते हैं वैलिडिटी को, उनको कंट्रोल कैसे किया जा सकता है. ये टोटल आज का प्रेजेंटेशन की दायरा रहेगा. दिस विल बी द टोटल माय स्कोप फॉर दिस प्रेजेंटेशन. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट. Anyone from your side, what do you mean by experimental research? Anyone? And one more thing I want to request from you people, that just because of I want to interact with you people, so whenever I ask question, please try to unmute yourself and give your answer, and then I will explain. So again मैं हिंदी में भी बोल रहा हूँ कि मैं जब भी इंटरेक्ट करूँ, आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछूं, तो आप अगर उसको इंटरेक्ट करते हैं, तुरंत अनम्यूट करके अपना रिस्पॉन्स देते हैं, तो इट विल बी बेटर. बहुत अच्छा रहेगा, इंटरेक्शन होता रहेगा और मुझे पता चलता रहेगा कि मुझे सुनने वाले भी जग रहे हैं. ओके, सो Any idea about experimental research? Anyone from your side? Any idea? Yes, please.
Sir, it is a scientific research design.
So you are telling that this is design. Good.
Yeah.
Then anything else you want to add?
सर एक सर
कंट्रोल सब्जेक्ट इन द
जी
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 जी प्लीज. It is my request. Kindly try to unmute yourself, give answer, and then again you have to unmute yourself, mute yourself. Okay? इंटरेक्शन रहेगा तो अच्छी रहेगी क्लास. अदरवाइज आप ऑलरेडी you all are somewhere have giving your lecture. So this is interaction. The interaction is more beneficial than the one-way lecture. Please, any idea regarding experimental research?
सर एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च में
experimental research may involves yes.
Please,
Experimental
anyone?
research involves maybe the differentiation of exposure and non-exposure, sir. The treatment conditions
Okay.
depending upon the variable.
वेरी गुड वेरी गुड. और कौन बोल रहा था?
हाँ एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च में सर प्री डेटा और पोस्ट डेटा के बीच में हम ट्रीटमेंट करते हैं उस तरह से हम निकालते हैं सर. प्री डेटा के बाद में जो
अच्छा, अगर मान लीजिए प्री और पोस्ट ना हो. वेरी गुड वेरी गुड. आप ये बताइए, अगर मान लीजिए प्री और पोस्ट कंडीशन नहीं हो तो एक्सपेरिमेंट नहीं होगा?
लेस चांसेस है सर.
No. There is a design that there is no pre-test. Okay, we will consider. I will try to make your concept very clear. Okay, anyone else? Anyone else want to give their opinion regarding experimental research? और कोई देना चाहता है, कुछ बोलना चाहता है? Okay, so actually it is one type of research where we are trying to solve some problem through experiment. There are many ways to explain experimental research. Some group of researcher explain experimental research as a establishment of cause and effect relationship. Yes, this is a meaning of experimental research, but this meaning is not going to be explain all the characteristics of experimental research. I will show you some way of गिव मीनिंग ऑफ एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च. मैं आपको उसमें से कुछ दूंगा. बहुत से एक्सपेरिमेंटल, बहुत से रिसर्चर जो हैं, बहुत से एक्सपर्ट जो है वो एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च को अलग अलग तरीके से एक्सप्लेन करते हैं. तो उसमें से पहला आप देख सकते हैं, सॉल्विंग प्रॉब्लम थ्रू एक्सपेरिमेंट. मीन्स अगर इफ यू वांट टू सॉल्व योर प्रॉब्लम, इफ यू हैव एनी प्रॉब्लम विच इज सॉल्व बाय कंडक्टिंग सम एक्सपेरिमेंट, तो इट may be called as experimental research. अगर आप किसी प्रॉब्लम को एक्सपेरिमेंट के थ्रू सॉल्व करते हैं, रिसर्च एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च के थ्रू या एक्सपेरिमेंट के थ्रू, दैट कैन बी एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च. अनदर वे दैट ए रिसर्च इन विच experiment is conducted to solve the problem. Again, we have to solve our problem, our research problem, by the help of experiment. There is again the different way, the other way, that experimental research is problem solving process in which activities are carried out systematically through experiment. Look at, I have given you three meaning, and all three meaning consist one common point, that is experiment. So what is the conclusion? Conclusion क्या है? That before understand what is the meaning of experimental research, first we have to understand the meaning of experimentation. एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च को समझने से पहले हमको समझना पड़ेगा कि एक्सपेरिमेंट क्या होता है. ओके, सो नाउ आर यू एबल टू सी सम ग्राफिक्स इन फ्रंट ऑफ योर ऑन योर स्क्रीन? आपको कुछ दिख रहा है सामने स्क्रीन पे?
यस सर.
क्या दिख रहा है? एनीवन क्या दिख रहा है? क्या हो रहा है?
निश्चिंत हो रहा है सर.
What is happening in front of you? On your screen?
Distillation.
Sorry, pardon?
Spirit lamp.
हाँ, लैम्प है ये. Okay, then क्या हो रहा है इसमें?
नीचे से चल रहा है
वाटर बॉईल हो रहा है सर।
पानी उबल रहा है और सर उसका बाष्प जो है वो बीकर में आता है.
Very good, very good. Actually, I want a layman input. Layman input का मतलब है कि आप जो दिख रहा है उसको बोलो. I don't want the scientific name of that particular instrument. I want that you have to explain what you have seen by your own two eyes. आपके दो आंखों से आपने क्या देखा वो explain करना है. Yes, very good. There is something boil, कुछ उबल रहा है, and then it will be converted into drop of water. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
The second
Yes,
question. Okay. The second question is: do you think that this drop is depend upon that particular jar or fire or cap on the jar? आपको ये लगता है कि ये ड्रॉप नीचे लगी आग पे डिपेंड कर रहा है या उस जार पे डिपेंड कर रहा है या ढक्कन पे डिपेंड कर रहा है? डू यू थिंक दैट?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes,
what
sir.
do you mean by that? Means, okay, one more question. Do you think if the length of this pipe, if I'm going to reduce this particular length of the pipe, the drop, the frequency of drop will increase or will decrease?
Increase.
Yes, sir.
Increase करेगा. Very good.
Yes, sir.
अगर मैं लेंथ जो पाइप की लेंथ है उसको छोटा करूं या बड़ा करूं तो उस पे डिपेंड करेगा ड्रॉप की संख्या भी. वेरी गुड आंसर. ओके, डू यू थिंक दैट if I am raising, if the fire will also one of the factor for this particular drop?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
And
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
if I am increasing the water, what will happen? The amount of water in the jar, what will happen? क्या होगा अगर मैं जार में पानी बढ़ा दूं तो?
जो है कि डिक्रीज हो जाएगा, ड्रॉप गिरने डिक्रीज हो जाएंगे.
Okay, but one more question. What will happen if I put off the what we call the coal on the jar?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
अगर वो ढक्कन हटा दूं तो क्या होगा? What will happen?
डिक्रीज हो जाएगा.
वो बाहर निकल जाएगा बस.
तो फिर वो सर ड्रॉप में भी नहीं आए.
ड्रॉप्स नहीं पड़ेगा वो.
ड्रॉप डिक्रीज हो जाएगा. यस सर, डिक्रीज भी होगा और जो है कि
Do you think that it will decrease or I think that there will be no drop?
नहीं, पॉसिबिलिटी है कि
नो
ड्रॉप ही ना
ड्रॉप,
आए.
नो ड्रॉप सर.
हाँ जी.
ड्रॉप ही नहीं होगा क्योंकि वो बस बाहर निकल जाएगा.
नो
Very
सर
good.
जो है कि
Yes, please. It will be very nice. ये इंट्रैक्शन मुझे अच्छी लग रही. Very good. Then क्या होगा?
अगर ओपन होगा तो मे बी सर ड्रॉप आएगा नहीं इस जार में और मे बी वो वास्प पे ऊपर ये चला जाए.
नहीं एक्चुअली सर जो है कि जार के जो है कि थोड़ा सा जो उसके नेक है, नेक के पास में जो है कि लगी हुई है पाइप है, तो सर कुछ ड्रॉप तो आने की संभावना है. तो
Yes,
ड्रॉप
there
जो
is a chance. 100% true. Everything depends upon chance. Very good answer. Very good. Okay. So, in experiment, there is a... Okay, one more question is there. Who is going to set that particular jar situation? कौन ये जार की जो सिचुएशन है इसको कौन डिसाइड करेगा?
सर इनफ्लेम जो है कि जो जल रही है,
जो जार की सेटिंग है, आग की क्वालिटी है, ढक्कन है, हु इज गोइंग टू सेट दिस पर्टिकुलर सेटअप? कौन सेट करेगा?
नीचे तो चिमनी चल रही है वो.
रिसर्चर.
वेरी गुड. जो एक्सपेरिमेंटल है, वेरी गुड. द experimental will decide how much fire to be fired, how much water, what will the amount of water to be kept in the jar. If there is a top of the jar, if the length of pipe will be decided by the researcher.
Sure.
Do you think all the things, all the setup will be done by the researcher or by the experimenter? Agree? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
by the explaining these things, I want to clear the basic 3 component of research. That is, the first one is the water content. In experiment condition, as you interact with me, you have told that this water drop is depend upon the setup which is done by the experimenter. Yes or no? आप यही बोल रहे हो ना कि ये वाटर की ड्रॉप जो है वो पूरी तरह से सेट की गई, ये जो सेटअप की गई है एक्सपेरिमेंटल के द्वारा उसी के कारण आ रहा है, यस और नो?
यस सर, यस सर।
यस सर।
तो दिस कैन बी इफेक्ट, ये इफेक्ट है, दिस इज इफेक्ट, और इन रिसर्च वी मे कॉल दैट डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल. What we call dependent variable, which is actually depend upon certain situation which is created by researcher. Means ये जो सिचुएशन आई है वो केवल और केवल जो रिसर्चर ने सेटअप की है सिचुएशन उसकी वजह से आ रही है, यस और नो?
यस
यस
सर।
सर।
Okay, so the drop of water in this particular situation will be considered as effect, and in research, as far as research is concerned, it will be known as dependent variable. Okay, then what will this situation will call? This setup will be called as cause, just because of this drop is happening, this drop is dropping, yes or no? So this will be known as cause or independent variable. Getting my point? Getting my point? Okay. So
Yes, sir.
there is another
Yes,
thing.
yes.
Another thing that if
Yes, sir.
the length of jar will reduce or will increase, the drop will also reduce or increase. So there is a third variable known as confounding variable. I will explain in detail in variable section. So there is one concept. The concept behind the experiment is there must be cause, there must be effect, there must be independent variable, and there must be dependent variable, and the only cause of change in dependent variable will be set by the researcher, that is in independent variable. कंक्लूजन इस पूरे एक्सपेरिमेंट की, पूरी डिस्कशन की ये है कि जो डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल है उसको निर्धारित करना, उसको उसका कारण केवल और केवल इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल होना चाहिए, जो बाकी वेरिएबल हैं उसको कम करने की कोशिश करनी चाहिए. ओके, तो व्हाट विल बी द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ, आपने ये जो डिस्कस किया, वी हैव डिस्कस्ड अबाउट द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ एक्सपेरिमेंट. ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट डिस्कशन, उस डिस्कशन के बेस पर क्या कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स निकल के आते हैं कि एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च के क्या कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स होने चाहिए. व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च? सो द फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च इज there must be minimum two variables.
Yes sir.
One must be cause and one must be effect, or you may call as one must be dependent variable and one must be independent variable. And what will researcher will do? Researcher will establish this relationship between cause and effect. Okay, and the second characteristics of experimental research will be one must be cause and other must be effect, as I explained earlier. Okay, then next, what will be the next characteristics? The next characteristics and the most important part of experimental research is that cause must be manipulated by researcher. Who have manipulated that particular situation? The experimenter or the researcher. So cause or independent variable must be manipulated by researcher. If it is not manipulated by researcher, it cannot be considered as independent variable or cause for the particular experimental research. जो cause है, जो independent variable है, जो स्वतंत्र चर है, उसकी कंडीशन है कि वो एक्सपेरिमेंट के द्वारा ही, रिसर्चर के द्वारा ही बनाया जाना चाहिए. ओके, सो one more and the most important, second most important part of experimental research is cause must precede the effect. I'm going to take one example for explaining this particular statement, cause must precede the effect. Same question, again a question. Do you think that, I hope everyone have seen the 400 meter running या 100 meter running. Do you think there is a two situation? One situation, there is a whenever athlete take start, the start depend upon the fire of gun. जब भी एथलीट स्टार्ट करता है तो वो डिपेंड करता है कि जब गन की फायर होगी तभी वो स्टार्ट करेगा. यस और नो?
यस सर.
After,
Yes, sir.
do you think the gun fire
Yes,
of
sir.
gun? Do you think the fire of gun depend upon the start of running? No. The
Sound.
start of running is depend upon the fire of gun.
Sound.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So similarly, every cause, every independent variable must have potential to precede the effect. This is the fourth characteristic of experimental research. The second one is, the fifth one is, cause and effect must be correlated. Means there is a necessity that if you want to conduct some correlation, some experimental research, you must know about the relationship between cause and effect. Means independent variable and dependent variable. If you want to conduct a study on effect of strength training on the color of eyes, just because of there is a no direct relationship between the strength training and color of eyes, it cannot be converted into experimental research. So cause and effect must be correlated to each other. And one most important part in experimental research, that particular correlation which is between cause and effect, which cannot be explained by third variable. What do you mean by third variable? As I explained you, well, when I was showing you and I was discussing discussion between me and you people, that the situation set by the experimental and the dependent variable must means cause which is manipulated by researcher and the effect cannot be explained by the other variable which is not manipulated by researcher. So the correlation cannot be explained by the third variable or the other variable. Okay, so whenever we are talking about, we will continue about this cause and effect which is comes under variable. So we will continue this discussion on the variable section. Before this, I will explain about the type. Whenever we are talking about experimental research, we may divide, or theoretically we may divide, experimentally we may divide experimental research into two broader concepts, two broader types, or two broader classification, that is laboratory experimental research and field experimental research. As I explained, experimental research is the way of type of research where we are solving problem through the experiment, and totally depend upon which type of experiment we are going to conduct. It will decide that the type of experimental research. Experimental research can be conducted into laboratory situation where we have lots of control over the independent and dependent variable, where the third variable is not going to be contributing dependent variable, or whether in physical education 99% experimental research conducted into field situation where we are trying to control the effect of other variable, but we cannot control fully the effect of other variable. So laboratory, in as far as the validity is concerned, the laboratory research is more better than the field research, experimental research. Okay, so now the third part of my presentation, the third part of first section of my presentation, variable. Any idea what do you mean by variable? Any idea about variable? Variable किसे कहते हैं? Any idea? Anyone from you? What do you mean by variable? देखिए डिस्कशन अच्छा चल रहा है मेरे ख्याल से आपको
Vary
भी अच्छा
means chal, sir. Chal.
Yes. Sure.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Then anyone else?
Variables are two types, dependent and independent.
अच्छा जी, वेरी गुड, बहुत अच्छी बात है. ओके, और कोई टाइप नहीं. व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय वेरिएबल? वेरिएबल क्या होता है? नो वन. I want response from south also. I have seen there is a lots of person from south. So anyone from south? What do you mean by variable? चर, I know in Hindi variable known as char. क्या होता है ये variable? We have talked. Yes, please.
सर जो भी
वेरिएबल
हमारे
जो है
रिसर्च को
रिसर्च में
इम्पैक्ट करता
एक
है वो
फैक्टर होता
वेरिएबल
है।
हम लेते हैं सर।
एक करके
any character that can be measured.
Yes, 100% that can be measured. Very good. So what? Okay, then anyone else?
जिससे हमको इंफॉर्मेशन प्राप्त करने को सहायता होती है, उसको वेरिएबल्स कहते हैं सर।
Very good, very good. So look at
Characteristics.
please repeat.
Characteristics.
Yes, very good answer. Okay, may I know your name?
Validity.
Okay.
Validity.
Okay. One more thing. As I told you that I am here just to make clear your concept. I want to clear your concept regarding the experimental research. Variable, whenever you are trying to trying to explore in variable, you may find that there is a two word. One is vary and that is able. Means ability to vary. Variable means ability to vary from one person to another person. And as far as the research is concerned, it can be called as ability to vary or changeable characteristics. If something have potential to change from person to person, place to place, or things to thing, it can be variable. It can be measurable or it cannot be measurable. All the time, independent variable are not going to be measured, but dependent variable always is measured in the experiment condition. But variable, anything which can be vary, which have ability to vary from person to person, it can be called as, it can be known as variable. Okay, what you is anything in front of you? Are you able to see something in front of you? In front of your?
Yes sir.
Yes, what is there? Do you think all persons are same?
No sir, gender.
Yes, there is a gender. So gender have ability to change from male to female and third gender. So gender can be a variable. Very good. Anything else?
Age factor.
Yes,
Age factor.
age, height, everything. So whenever we are trying to explain variable, you may easily explain anything which have ability to change from one person to another person. You may see there is a change in BMI, body mass index, there is a change in age, there is change in weight. Different persons have different weight. There is a change in height. You may see in the group, you may see the person with different height. You may see there is a blood pressure have ability to change with one person to another person. There is a biomechanical aspect of person. So all the things which have ability to change from person to person is known as variable. In short, you may say that ability to vary, variable, or all the changeable characteristics is known as variable. There is an opposite. The opposite of variable is constant. Constant means the characteristics which have not ability to change from person to person. Number of days in a week. If you are in India, there is 7 days a week. If you are abroad, the same 7 days a week. So the number of days in a week can be considered as constant, but working days can be variable. If I am working 5 days a week, for example, and it is possible that someone working for 6 days a week. So whenever we are talking about the situation, if situation characteristics can be changed from one person to another person, it can be considered as variable. Getting my point?
Yes sir.
Okay.
Yes sir.
Yes, please. Is there any question? Okay. So now we are continuing with the variable. So one thing, now we will talk about the types of variable. From you, there was someone who have explained about variable. There is a two type of variable. Sorry friend, this is not, variable are not only two types. Variable, the types of variable depend upon some base, depend upon the situation. I will talk the types of variable. I will talk about the types of variable only for the condition of experimental research. मैं जो बात करूंगा वो केवल केवल एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च में वेरिएबल की टाइप. हर जगह इंडिपेंडेंट और डिपेंडेंट नहीं होता. फॉर एवरी सिचुएशन देयर इज नो इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल. समवेयर इट इज कैटेगोरिकल वेरिएबल, समवेयर इज क्राइटेरियन वेरिएबल, somewhere is control variable, moderator variable. But we will discuss about the variable is in special consideration of experimental research. So on the basis of experimental research, we may classify variable into two broader concepts. The first broader base for classifying variable is causal model. Just because of I have explained that experimental research is the research where researcher wants to establish the cause and effect relationship. This is the reason why experimental research comes under causal model, where we are looking the relationship between cause and effect. So on the basis of that base causal model, we may classify research into three broader concepts. The first one is independent variable. All the variable which have ability to make change independent variable can be considered as independent variable. As I explained earlier, all the cause of experiment is known as independent variable. On the other hand, any variable which have ability to change with respect to effect of independent variable can be considered as dependent variable. Any variable. One more thing I want to add in independent variable and dependent variable. In every situation, in experiment situation, the first condition for being an independent variable, for considering independent variable, that is manipulation. The independent variable is manipulated, must be manipulated by researcher, and it has ability to make change in dependent variable. If these two characteristics fulfilled by any variable, that can be known as independent variable. Yes, please. Okay. Similarly, if in any experimental research, there is a two basic characteristics of dependent variable. The first one is dependent variable is going to be measured in any experimental research. जो भी आप डेटा एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च में कलेक्ट करते हो, जो डेटा आप मेजर करते हो, वो सभी वेरिएबल डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल होते हैं. द फर्स्ट कंडीशन दैट कैन बी द डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल must be measured in experimental situation. The second one is ability to change in respect to the effect of independent variable. And the third variable, which is known as confounding variable. What is the meaning of confounding variable? Confounding variable are those variables who have ability to change, to make changes in dependent variable with the effect of independent variable. Means, if you are going to conduct a study that in effect of strength training on flexibility, so there is a chance that other than strength training, there is something who can change the make change in the flexibility. So all the other variable than your independent variable consider as confounding variable. I'm repeating that. The variable who is changing the dependent variable, who have ability to change independent variable with the independent variable, but it is not manipulated by researcher. All these type of variable can be considered as confounding variable. Confounding variable are further classified into two types. The first one is intervening variable and the second one is extraneous variable. What is the meaning of confounding variable, all those variable who have ability to change independent variable with the effect of independent variable, but it is not manipulated by researcher. मीन्स रिसर्चर के द्वारा मैनिपुलेट नहीं किया जाएगा, लेकिन वो डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल में चेंजेस लाने की एबिलिटी रखता है. These confounding variable further classified intervening and extraneous. All the variable which have ability to make change in dependent variable with the independent variable but cannot be controlled, or researcher have very little ability to control, it can be considered as intervening variable. And all the variable which have ability to make change in dependent variable with the effect of independent variable, but that can be controlled, is known as extraneous variable. कंक्लूजन क्या है कि इंडिपेंडेंट और डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल आप जानते हो. इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल यानी रिसर्चर के द्वारा मैनिपुलेट किया गया हो और अपनी इफेक्ट डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल में छोड़ता हो. डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल जो इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल की वजह से चेंज हुआ हो और रिसर्च सिचुएशन में उसका मेजरमेंट किया गया हो. लेकिन इन दोनों के सिवा जो तीसरा फैक्टर है वो है कंफाउंडिंग. कंफाउंडिंग क्या है? वो इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल के साथ साथ डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल में इफेक्ट डालेगा, लेकिन वो कंट्रोल किया भी जा सकता है, कंट्रोल नहीं भी किया जा सकता, लेकिन वो मैनिपुलेट रिसर्चर के द्वारा नहीं किया गया. जो कंट्रोल किया जा सकता है, ऐसे वेरिएबल जो जिसका कंट्रोल किया जा सकता है, वो एक्सट्रेनियस वेरिएबल कहा जाएगा, और जिस पे कंट्रोल नहीं है रिसर्चर का, वो इंटरवेनिंग वेरिएबल कहा जाएगा. ओके, सो आई विल एक्सप्लेन इन लेटर स्लाइड्स in detail. Just because of these confounding variable will be act as a threats for your experimental research. यही वेरिएबल कंफाउंडिंग वेरिएबल हैं जो थ्रेट्स के रूप में आपके एक्सपेरिमेंटल कंडीशन में सामने दिखाई देंगे. ओके, so these three main independent, dependent and confounding are the main three variable which can be classified on the basis of causal model. On the other hand, we may classify variable on the basis of unit of measurement. Unit of measurement, whenever we are talking about the experimental research, as you know that experimental research is totally or somehow totally depend upon the data which is quantitative in nature. जो experimental research होता है उसकी जो data होते हैं वो basically quantitative nature के होते हैं. Based on that particular concept, we may classify variable on the basis of unit of measurement. On the basis of unit of measurement, we can classify data into continuous variable or discrete or categorical variable. These variable are not differ from the independent, dependent and confounding variable, but same variable can be continuous variable, can be dependent variable, categorical variable, discrete variable can be dependent or independent variable. So based on the characteristics, just because of based on mathematics unit of measurement, we are classifying the variable which is used in experimental research, that is continuous and discrete. All the variable whose data can be converted or can be taken into with fraction, यानी दशमलव के साथ अगर आप ले सकते हो, that can be continuous variable. And all the whole data which cannot be taken into fraction with fraction, it can be discrete data. Means if you want to conduct a research on blood pressure, what will be your data? आपका डेटा कैसा होगा, क्या होगा अगर आप ब्लड प्रेशर पे डेटा लेते हो तो? एनीवन फ्रॉम योर साइड? ब्लड प्रेशर पे डेटा लिया आपने,
कंटिन्यूअस.
एक समान नहीं होगा, अलग अलग होगा हर एक का. हाँ जी, हर एक का अलग अलग होगा, सिस्टोलिक और डिस्टोलिक.
जी 100% true. There is a difference between systolic and diastolic, but I am talking about what will be the nature. Just because of 120 and 80, it cannot be comes with fraction. वो पॉइंट में नहीं आएंगे. तो जब पॉइंट में नहीं आने की संभावना होगी, दैट कैन बी डिस्क्रीट. एंड इफ यू कंडक्ट ए स्टडी ऑन हाइट इन
Not continuous data.
height in centimeter.
Yes, sir.
हाइट इन सेंटीमीटर.
Continuous variable.
कितनी हाइट है आपकी? प्लीज हाइट कितनी है आपकी?
Continuous variable.
Okay, so this is totally depend upon what data you are going to collect. If data have simple concept, very layman concept, if you are going to collect data where the chance of fraction is there, means point is there 1.2, 32.9, if there is a chance that fraction will come with the data, it will be continuous. If there is a chance that data will comes in whole form 1, 2, 5, if you are going to conduct research and you have two group, one is experimental and one is control, so you have to give some numerical value for coding. So if you have allotted one for experimental group and two for control group, so it cannot be comes with the fraction 1.2. It cannot be 1.2. One for experimental group and two for control group. This is known as whole data, as a number of whole. So this can be considered as categorical or discrete data. I'm repeating that all the independent variable will be considered as discrete, and dependent variable can be considered as discrete, can be taken in discrete form or can be taken in continuous form. So let's take one example, effect of core training on flexibility of girls. If you want to conduct that particular research, do you think this is experimental research? Yes or no? Do you think this is okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is experimental research. So researcher wants to conduct a study on flexibility, and he wants to check the effect of core training on flexibility of particular age of girls. Okay, what will happen? He will take the measurement of flexibility. Yes or no? This is one type of design.
Yes,
and
sir.
Then he will manipulate some code training, and then again he will or she will again conduct a test. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
This design is known as single group pretest post-test design. So if a researcher have taken this particular design, pre-test post-test pre-test post-test single group design, what will happen? What is independent variable in this condition?
Core
Core
training.
training is independent variable for this particular situation. Why this is independent variable?
Because it changed the flexibility.
It will change the flexibility, yes.
Core training can change the
And
flexibility.
who have manipulated this code training?
The researcher.
Very good. So all the characteristics of independent variable possessed by code training. Code training is manipulated by researcher. The first characteristic has fulfilled, and the second one is it will going to affect on flexibility. The second condition is fulfilled. Okay. So this is independent variable, and what is dependent variable in this situation?
The flexibility.
Flexibility.
Sure? Are you sure flexibility is the dependent variable in this situation?
Yes. Correct, sir.
Or no?
Sure.
No. As far research is concerned, the flexibility of post-test, not pre-test. The flexibility of post-test is the dependent variable. Do you think dependent variable is flexibility at post-test? Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Do you think at the pre-test is there any effect of code training?
No, sir.
No, sir.
There is no effect.
Yes, I'm considering your answer. Flexibility is the dependent variable, but in the right way, in the professional way, you have to say that flexibility at post-test is the dependent variable for that particular situation. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
This is dependent variable. Flexibility at test. Please mute. Okay, so flexibility at post test is going to be considered as dependent variable. Okay, so suppose the measurement of dependent variable which is we have taken at the pre-test, that is 32 centimeter. Is this continuous or is this discrete? Okay, forget.
This is discrete.
Discrete.
Okay, very good. So we have taken flexibility at pre-test, which is 32 centimeter, which is considered average flexibility for omens, and after giving we are considering myself as a researcher. So after giving my training, that is core training, the flexibility will increase. This is the thought of experimental. So the first the flexibility at pre-test, which is 32 centimeter, will increased or is increased 43 centimeter, which is considered good for women. What is happening here? क्या हुआ यहाँ पर? We have measured the flexibility at pre-test. We have given the core training as an independent variable, and then we have again measured the dependent variable, and these core training increases the flexibility with positively 11 centimeter. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so do you think that there is only cause is core training? क्या आप सोचते हैं कि दो changes हैं, that change which is made by that particular independent variable is only due to that particular core training?
No, it may be because of due to heat, temperature. Like
Okay, okay. One more thing. So there is a chance that other factor also have effect on the dependent variable, which is post flexibility at post test. So as a researcher, we wish to prove that the changes which is done by independent variable is only done by independent variable. So do you think the testing other than independent variable, testing is one of the cause for getting change in 11 centimeter? Getting my point? No. I'm repeating again. Do you think that the change in dependent variable, which is plus 11 centimeter, is only due to core training? The answer was no. There is a chance of other variable which can contribute. The second question is, do you think, suppose that particular female or that particular girl was no aware about the procedure of flexibility in the pre-test. So if she has performed the first test at a pre-condition, she came to know about the procedure of testing sit and rest test. Do you think that the knowledge of performing that particular sit and rest test will be included in that particular 11 centimeter increment of 11 centimeter? Yes or no?
yes, sir. Yes.
मैं फिर से रिपीट कर रहा हूं कि आप जिस लड़की ने अगर मान लीजिए प्री टेस्ट दिया, प्री टेस्ट में वो प्रोसीजर को नहीं जानती थी, लेकिन पोस्ट टेस्ट में प्रोसीजर की जानने की वजह से 11 सेंटीमीटर की इंक्रीजमेंट हुई, तो अकेला कोई रिसर्चर ये नहीं बोल सकता है. नो वन कैन से दैट द चेंज दैट इज 11 centimeter increase in 11 centimeter by in flexibility, which is only due to independent variable. There is a chance that testing may also contribute in this particular 11 centimeter increment. Motivation can also be comes under 11 centimeter, or timing of testing. Just because of you all are from physical education, there is a question: do you think that diurnal changes have positive effect on flexibility or negative effect on flexibility? Diurnal changes mean the changes in the time of day, morning, day and evening. आपको ऐसा लगता है कि मॉर्निंग, डे और इवनिंग फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी में कोई चेंजेस ला सकते हैं या कोई चेंजेस हैं? ओके, आप बताओ.
It changed during.
Yes, please.
It changed during the hot weather.
Hot weather means just because of flexibility is related to muscle, and if there is a hot condition, it will increase. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So there is a lots of study which says that the diurnal changes or the timing of the day is directly related to flexibility. So if researcher have taken the pre-test in the morning and the post-test at the afternoon, it will be due to the timing of the test taken. So one more thing, you may control the timing by taking test at the same time. You may control the testing effect by taking the different test, or you may control the effect of testing by taking repeated measure, more than 2 or 3 chance of measurement. But you may not control the motivation, the effect of motivation on the dependent variable. So the key point of this discussion is, apart from the independent variable, there are various variables who have ability to change in the dependent variable, and which can be controlled or which cannot be controlled. All that factor comes under confounding variable. I have already explained confounding variable are two types. One is intervening, one is extraneous. Intervening variable cannot be controlled, or very little control over extraneous variable, that can be considered as a motivation. And all the variable which can be controlled by the researcher are considered as extraneous variable. Okay, so what is the conclusion of that particular discussion? That change in outcome variable, that is dependent variable, is due to the change variable, means independent variable, means manipulated variable, and other variable. Other variable are confounding variable, which is considered as a threat for the research, experimental research. And as far as research is concerned, change in dependent variable is due to the change variable, that is independent variable. Extraneous variable that can be controlled by researcher, the effect of other variable which can be controlled by researcher is known as extraneous variable, and due to the chance variable which cannot be controlled by researcher. So the changes in dependent variable is depend upon the total ability of change variable, extraneous variable, and chance variable. And as a researcher, we have responsibility, and we want to control over chance variable, control over extraneous variable, minimize the chance variable, and increase the change variable. Okay, so there is a conclusion that independent variable are the manipulated by researcher, must be caused and discrete in nature. Whenever we are talking about dependent variable, it is measured in experiment condition. It is the effect of independent variable, and it can be continuous or should only vary in response to independent, and it can be continuous or discrete as per the variable is concerned. And the other extraneous variable can be considered as covariates for the experimental research. So considering one more example, effect of method of teaching on academic achievement of high school student of Gujarat. Is this experimental research?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is experimental research. How do you know that this is experimental research? How do you know that this is experimental research?
We are giving the training. That is the method of teaching. What are the methods we have to
Okay. So
for academic achievement?
In most of the time, the word effect can be considered as the method. The word effect can be considered as the method explained by the title. Title can consist the method, the variable, and the population. Title must be consist of method, variables, and the population. Here, the effect reflect the method of the research, and effect stands for the all kind of experimental research. What is independent variable in this particular title? इसमें independent method of
teaching.
Very good. Method of teaching is the independent variable. And what is dependent variable?
Academic achievements.
Academic achievement. And is there any population?
Yes, high school students.
Very good. High school student of Gujarat. Please remember this particular topic. I will explain that topic I will take this topic for future explanation. What is the topic? Effect of method of teaching on academic achievement of high school student of Gujarat, where the effect stands for method of teaching stands for independent variable, and academic achievement will consider as dependent variable, and high school student of Gujarat will be taken as population for the study. Okay, so you have one situation in front of you. Okay, please tell me what is the independent variable for that particular situation. इसमें से independent variable क्या है?
Method of teaching.
Method of teaching. Very good. So if just because we have taken effect of method of teaching on academic achievement, this is the independent variable we are considering. And do you think that the effect of independent variable, which is method of teaching, is equally effect on these all four students?
It will differ from person
No,
to
sir.
person.
No, sir.
Why? Why? Why?
Individual
differences.
Individual differences. Very good. So, do you think only individual differences is the cause that can be effect on the dependent variable?
No, sir. The
No, that may be the effect of methods.
Sorry. Effect of method. We have manipulated the method of teaching. We have. I want as a researcher, I want to give that particular method.
For interest of the students.
Yes. Interest of the
Students.
Can be very.
Yes, very good. In this situation, method of teaching is the independent variable, and we have to measure academic achievement of student as a dependent variable. So please tell me what are the different confounding variable, and be specific. Please tell me what are the different intervening variable and extraneous variable for this particular situation. Please. Do you think there is a extraneous variable? आप सोचते हो इसमें एक्सट्रेनियस वेरिएबल भी है? Okay. What is the meaning of extraneous variable? Extraneous variable are all variable or those variable who is going to be one of the cause for changes in dependent variable, but that is not manipulated by researcher. Okay, do you think that there is a two male and two boys and two girls. Do you think that all the boys are same, or do you think that all the girls, both girls are same, and there will be same effect on both girls?
No, sir.
So
No.
and do you think that we can control by giving separate method, separate independent variable for girls and for boys?
No, sir.
We may give separate teaching method for girls and separate teaching method for boys. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And one more question.
Students cooperation.
Ji, please. Okay. What will be the effect of independent variable teaching method on the first boy who is sleeping?
Not cooperate, sir.
Sorry? Pardon?
Students not cooperate.
Oh, students are not cooperating.
Not interesting.
Not interested.
Still boring or
Okay, forget about it. So,
Very boring subject.
no, this is not boring.
Effect on result, sir.
Anji, please.
Effect on result.
Effect on result. No. One thing. Actually, I want to convey the concept that there is some other variable which is directly or indirectly contribute in the dependent variable with the effect of independent variable. Out of these other variables, some can be act as a intervening variable which cannot be controlled by researcher for particular situation, or some variable can be controlled by the researcher. Okay, so there's a list of intervening variable for that particular situation. You may see the concentration, fatigue, motivation, and anxiety. For this particular situation, these all can be considered as intervening variable. As I explained that in experiment condition, researcher have very little control over intervening variable or no control over intervening variable. As you may take that the first boy is very tired and he want to sleep only. Yes or no?
yes, sir.
Fatigue cannot be controlled by.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Concentration cannot be controlled by a researcher. Motivation cannot be controlled by researcher. There is some effect of motivation, anxiety, and concentration on the dependent variable. So it can be reduced by researcher. If you have conducted a research, if you want to conduct that particular research, so you have to keep all the subject in a one place and you have to control their daily routine. If you have controlled their daily routine, there is a chance that the fatigue is not going to be contributing dependent variable. So if the factor is cannot be in the control of researcher, it can be considered as intervening variable. On the other hand, you may control the age, you may control the socioeconomic status, and these all can be considered as the extraneous variable. Why it is an extraneous variable? For example, suppose that particular first student is in the condition of fatigue due to their socio-economic status. They have not good food, they have not take rest as proper way. So considering on selection on the basis of socio-economic status can be control that situation, that fatigue situation, which is going to be contributing dependent variable. Getting my point? So now I will explain about the step of research, steps of experimental research. In this particular slide, whenever I will use that particular step in green color, it can be representative of operational steps. This is necessary step, has to be taken by researcher. Whenever rectangle green color box will used, it will consider as a required theoretical knowledge for that particular step. And whenever I will use that oval shape, it will stand for the intermediary required necessary intermediary knowledge of the particular thing. So the research steps or research journey for the experimental research is start with the filling of research problem. So whenever you want to conduct a experimental research, first you have to think about the research problem. Research problem is the gap which can be fulfilled or which is tried to be fulfilled by the experimental researcher. So first step for any kind of research, including experimental research, to feel difficulty. Whenever you are in the situation where you can feel difficulty, or you may feel some problem which can be solved by experiment, that can be experimental research, and that is the first step for experimental research. The second step, whenever you have felt the difficulty, you have to think about the research design. What are the different design for solving that particular research problem, and which is the best research design for solving the problem which I have selected. This is the second step for research, experimental research. After selecting the research design, one has or researcher has to gone through the instrument for data collection. This is the third step, operational step for experimental research. The knowledge of instrument which can be used for collecting data is necessary for any kind of research, and instrument play important role in experimental research. So the first step is research problem, the second step how to solve this particular research problem, and the third step what are the different instrument and what are the different procedure for collecting data. So knowledge of instrument can be considered as the third step. The fourth step, after clearing the third step, you will be able to select, and you have to select the sample. Here there is here you don't need to select sample, but the step is reflect for the knowledge of sampling. What are the different sample and which place we are going to collect data. So in fourth step, you must know about the sample, from which sample we are going to collect data, what are the different technique used for sampling, which sampling technique will be appropriate for this particular research problem. So these four steps, after completing these four steps, that is research problem, knowing the problem, knowing what are the design, what are the different design exist in this real situation, and which design is appropriate for solving my problem, what are the different instruments used for collecting data, and on whom we are going to use that particular instrument for solve our research problem. These four steps, after completing these four steps, you will be able to prepare your step that is considered as fourth step of the experimental research. After proposal and after getting approval of the proposal, there is a functional actual realization of plan, actual realization of proposal can be taken, can be considered, can be done, which is collecting data. You have selected sample. In fourth step, you know about the instrument. In third step, you know about what is the procedure of collecting data in research design. Now you may able to collect data, on field data, on experiment, on lab situation. You may collect data whichever you have, which type of design you have taken. On the basis of that design, you may collect data. This is practical, this is field work for the experimental research. Next step is processing data. After collecting data, when you have your own data, you have to gone through the process of data. This is known as analysis of data. And this is the 7th step. After processing data, the last steps is come and you have to prepare research report. So these 8 steps is a crucial for operational steps of any experimental research. For completing first step, the first research problem is the step where we are thinking as a researcher what to do, what we have to conduct. And next 4 steps up to proposal is the planning, how to collect data, how to conduct research, and the implementation part is 6, 7, 8. Yani means conducting research. In conducting research, we are collecting data, processing data, and preparing research report. So steps consist of what to do, how to do, and actual realization of planning which you have done up to the stage of 5th. Okay, so for completing first step, that is research problem, we must have theoretical knowledge of formulation of research problem, basic concept of variable, formulation of hypothesis, the basic theoretical required knowledge. These are the required knowledge for formulating a researchable, experimentable research problem. As far as research design is concerned, researcher has to know the functional ability of research design. What are the different way of selection of research design? The different type of research design, different type of experimental research design, and their basic concept about the research design. This is the required theoretical knowledge for completing the second step. As far as the instrument for data is concerned, a researcher must have theoretical knowledge of method and tool. What are the different method? What are the different procedure? For example, taking a VO2 max, we may take VO2 max from different taste. But suppose I am from swimming and I want to conduct experiment research on swimming, and I have taken VO2 max VO2 max training by deep test on ground. Do you think this is appropriate? No, we have to select test for measuring VO2 max of swimmer, which can be conducted underwater, which is very much related to their performance. So we have to gone through, we have to select, we have to basic understanding. We must understand that we must have theoretical knowledge of different methods, different tools, their reliability and validity. As far as sample is concerned, researcher must have theoretical knowledge of sampling techniques and their selection. What are the different sampling technique and which sampling technique will going to be contribute more appropriately in my experimental research. You know that there is a probability sampling, there is a non-probability sampling, random sampling, non-random sampling. So which type of sampling is appropriate or which can be used by the researcher is the most important part. And researcher must understand about which researcher must have theoretical knowledge about the technique and selection of samples. As far as proposal is concerned, for completing the 5th step, that is preparation of proposal, a researcher must have theoretical knowledge about the content. You know that every university have their own content, own way of calling proposal. Every funding agency have their own way of preparing research proposal. So for preparation of research proposal, a researcher must have basic understanding about the format of proposal of that particular funding agency or that particular university. So the content of research proposal is the required theoretical knowledge for completing the fifth stage, that is preparation of research proposal. For collecting of data, there is no required knowledge. Just because of you have already completed that particular theoretical required knowledge in stage third. Collecting data is the field work, and this is totally depend upon the stage third. As far as the processing of data or analysis of data, a researcher must have knowledge about the different method available for the processing of data. I'm not saying that every researcher must have complete knowledge about statistics, but what are the different statistics used for that particular condition, and what are the way of interpreting that particular statistics used by the researcher is the basic theoretical knowledge of basic theoretical required knowledge for completing the seventh stage, that is processing of data. As far as present situation is concerned, researcher must also have basic understanding about the use of computer for statistics nowadays. So for completing seventh stage, you must have knowledge about the method, use of computer and statistics. For completing the final research report state, that is state number 8, researcher has to must have theoretical knowledge of principle of scientific writing. As you know that UGC have published the plagiarism software, the guideline for not committing plagiarism. So the knowledge of principle, knowledge of scientific writing, what are the different principle of scientific writing? If researcher know about the principle of scientific writing, it cannot be comes under the plagiarism, and it will help researcher to prepare a very good or scientific research report for their experimental research. One most intermediate, the best intermediary knowledge, required knowledge for conducting 8 stage is review of related literature. Review of related literature, why I am calling it intermediary knowledge? Just because of review of related literature will contribute for selecting research problem, will also contribute in selecting research design, will also contribute in selecting or understanding the instrument for data collection. It will also help you to select sample. It will also help you to preparation of research report and research proposal. So this is the reason why I am saying that review of related literature is intermediary knowledge. Review of related literature is the important concept which can be give a strength to the researcher to complete step number 1, 2, 3, 4 and 8. It also help in preparation of research proposal, which is step number 5. Collecting data, just because of this is directly related to field work, review related literature is not going to be contribute. Processing data is also practical in nature, so review related literature is not going to be contribute in step number 6 and 7, but it will contribute step number 1, 2, 3, 4 and 8 directly. There is another intermediary knowledge that is related to collecting data and processing data, that is known as field test of tool. Field test of tool, which is known as the knowledge of taste which a researcher have taken, that is that is related to your instrument for data collection, and it is related to instrument for data collection and data collecting data. The code for completion of processing of data, researcher must know about the data editing, what are the different way of data editing, how to edit the data, what is the procedure of preparation of code book, how to code data for analysis. So these are intermediary knowledge for completing that particular steps. This is all about the research journey or steps of experimental research. I have completed the first part, that is basic concept of research. I have explained about the what is experimental research, type of experimental research, variables, steps to be taken for completing experimental research. Now I will talk about the threats, internal validity, external validity, and what are the different way of controlling that particular threats. So first question is authenticity. This is the very important part where we will talk about the authenticity of your experiment. Whenever a researcher have conducted any research, they have two basic problems. One is ability to say that the changes which comes after manipulating the independent variable is the only effect of independent variable, that is known as internal validity, and the ability of generalization. So as far as the authenticity is concerned, validity is concerned, in experimental condition, validity, authenticity is measured in terms of validity, and validity can be in form of internal validity or validity can be in form of external validity. Internal validity is the ability of researcher in which researcher has full confidence that the changes in the dependent variable is only due to the manipulated variable. I'm repeating again. Internal validity is the ability of researcher on the basis of what researcher may say that the changes comes in the dependent variable is only due to my manipulated independent variable. Taking the last example which I have taken, effect of code training on flexibility, researcher may say that the change which is increment in flexibility by 11 centimeter is only due to their code training. And on the other hand, the second validity, which is highly concerned matter for researcher, that is ability to generalize. Whenever the research is conducted, researcher has to publish their research work. This is the necessary requirement for conducting research. So whenever researcher wants to generalize their result, they have to think about which population, which setting or what time the result of the study is going to be contribute for which kind of population, which kind of setting, or for what time. So these are the two validity, internal validity and external validity, which can be considered as a authenticity for any kind of research work. The meaning of internal validity is ability of researcher to say that the the changes in the dependent variable is only due to independent variable, and the ability of researcher on the basis of what researcher can generalize the result for particular population setting and time can be considered as external validity. There are different threats to internal validity. Internal validity, for what is internal validity? Ability of researcher to say that the change in dependent variable is only due to independent variable. So there are some cause, or there are some threats which can directly affect the internal validity. There are two researcher, one is Campbell and Stanley, and one more researcher, Rosenthal, who have combinedly given 9 threats to internal validity. In 1963, Campbell and Stanley have given 8 threats to internal validity, and Rosenthal have given the 9th one in the year of 1966. The first threats for internal validity is history. This is the threat to internal validity where this type of threat can be affect the internal validity, can be affect the dependent variable in only condition where the where researcher have taken too long experiment condition. Means if one researcher wants to conduct a research for 3 months, 4 months, there is a chance that any event occurred during these 3 or 4 months will change, will have ability to change in dependent variable. For example, if you want to conduct a study on effect of code training on flexibility, and you have taken single group pre-test post-test design, and the duration for this particular design is 3 months, there is a chance that the subjects have gone through the other training treatment, other training, and the changes in flexibility is due to that particular training. So that event, the change in dependent variable is not only due to the code training, that can be a result of other training which he or she have gone through. So event occurred during experiment condition can be one of the cause of changes in dependent variable that can be considered as threat to internal validity. The second one is maturation. It also affects the internal validity. Maturation, as you see that age, fatigue. Maturation means if there is a too long experiment condition and the natural changes occurred during that particular experiment condition. If the change in age, suppose one researcher wants to conduct the same study, effect of code training on flexibility of boys. You know that as far as age is concerned, the flexibility will reduce. And if he or she has taken the long duration for training period, there is a possibility that the change in physiological, psychological, the natural physiological change will contribute in the dependent variable, and that can be considered as the threat to internal validity. The third one is testing. As you know that for completing experiment, we as a researcher we are using different kind of design: pre-test, post-test, randomized group design, single group post-test only design, Solomon 4 group design. There are n number of threats. One can be considered as true experimental design, pre-experimental design, or quasi-experimental design. There are three basic type of experimental design. So a researcher may take any kind of design, but whenever researcher takes pre-test and post-test design, there is a chance that the pre-test, the knowledge of pre-test will affect the post-test. The procedure of the knowledge of procedure of giving sit and reach, last example I have taken, the knowledge of procedure of sit and reach test will affect the post-test. And this can be considered as a testing threat to internal validity. So for controlling that kind of testing effect, one must take a control group, one must take repeated measure design, one must take time series design. So there are different way of controlling, but there is a chance that pre-test can be affect on post-test. The knowledge of procedure of giving pre-test will definitely affect the post-test, and that can be considered as threat to internal validity. The next threat for internal validity, that is instrumentation. Instrumentation is the threat which is directly affect the internal validity and which is directly related to the data. If you have taken, if researcher have taken the poor instrument, or the calibration of that particular instrument is poor, so there is a chance that the dependent variable is also depend on the quality of instrumentation. There is one more way for threatening internal validity for instrument, that is observer, means tester. If there is a change in tester for conducting same kind of test, there is a chance of change in procedure of testing, and that can be affect the internal validity. The fifth one is statistical regression. There is a various chance, there is a various occasion where we are, as a researcher, we select samples on the basis of extreme score, and that extreme score will never consist as a extreme score for future test. Whenever we select subject on the basis of extreme score, that cannot be extreme for subsequent test. Extreme score means, suppose you have taken subject on the basis of height, and there is a chance that the increment of height is limited. So if there is an extreme score, it cannot be extreme for subsequent test. So this can be threat your internal validity. Here the effect of independent variable is not as much as the non-extreme variable. So this can be considered as threat to internal validity. The next one is selection bias. This is also a threat for internal validity. Most of the time, as I explained in statistical regression, most of the time researcher wishes to take a good sample in experimental group and bad sample is in the control group, and these biasness may affect your result, may definitely affect your internal validity. So selection bias by the researcher will consider as threat to internal validity. One of the threat which is known as experimental mortality is can be understood as loss of subject. there is a chance that, and this may be happen only for whenever we are conducting research for longer duration of time, there is a chance that loss of subject during experiment condition. So these can also be considered as threat to internal validity. The next one is selection and maturation interaction. This is the combination of selection bias and the second threat, that is maturation. Whenever selection bias interact with the maturation, it can be one of the cause for threat to internal validity. Suppose you have this type of threat will occur only in non-equivalent control group design, non-equivalent design, where time affect one particular group which is selected on the basis of bias, and maturation take place into one group and not in other group. So these can be combination of selection bias and maturation, and it may be directly affect the internal validity. The last one is the last threat to internal validity, that is expectancy. You know that everyone has clear expectancy that there will be a positive effect of every experiment, every independent variable. This may not be happen. There is a chance researcher always wishes that the subject which he or she have selected may give their best positive result to his or her. So expectancy is one of the threat for internal validity. As far as the threat is concerned, for external validity, there is an interaction effect of testing. In previous threat to internal validity, I have explained about the testing, where the procedure of pre-test is going to be affect the post-test. But here, in the threat to external validity, here the knowledge of pre-test. Suppose there is a sample who know their pre-test, their measurement at pre-test is very poor, and the knowledge of that particular pre-test will internally motivate particular subject, and he or she may give their extra effort on post-test, and this knowledge of pre-test will definitely change the post-test, and this is not manipulated by researcher. Based on that particular concept, the motivation of that particular subject will change the result of the study, and these can be considered as the interaction effect of testing. This is the combination of selection bias and experimental treatment. This is a threat to external validity. In this kind of threat, if someone has taken sample on the basis of some particular characteristics, and treatment is not going to be contribute that particular sample. So we have combined, as a researcher, we have clubbed the selection bias and experimental treatment itself. So it may change result in positive or negative way, and it can be considered as the threat to external validity. The last one, second last threat for external validity is experimental arrangement, and this is the threat for a special situation. Whenever we are taking design where two experimental conditions are used for particular situation, particular group, a single group, this is the threat. Experimental arrangement is only on the research design where we are using two experimental conditions on a single group. Experimental arrangement can be For example, experimental arrangement is directly related to the situation, the controlling situation of lab versus field. As I explained in the type of experimental research, the control of other factor, confounding factor, is more on lab situation than the field situation. So this is the threat to external validity, which comes where we are taking field experimental research or lab experimental research. And this is the multiple treatment interference is the threat which comes in the situation where researchers have taken a single group and multiple treatment, more than 2 treatment. There is a chance that the delayed effect of first treatment on the second treatment. Whenever there is a chance that first treatment may affect on the with the second treatment, it can be considered as multiple treatment interference, influence of first treatment on the second treatment. Whenever we have taken a single group with multiple treatment, means single group with 2 treatment, there is a chance that one treatment may affect later on, and the delayed effect of first treatment can be misunderstood as the effect of second treatment. So this is all about the threats. Apart from these 9 internal threats and 4 external threats, there is other threats which is directly or indirectly affect the result. The first of that particular threats is Hawthorne effect. Threat to both validity means Hawthorne effect may affect internal as well as external validity. Actually, the effect, Hawthorne effect is known as when the participants' performance change. When the participant performance change due to the attention paid by the experimenter or the researcher, there is a chance that if we are for example, if we are taking class, or if we are in the class and someone watches us, that is, there is a chance of your behavior is very consist way. So Hawthorne effect is the effect on the participant when the attention of someone has to be focused or has to be paid on that particular performance. So there is another threat that is known as Avis effect, a recent version of John Henry effect. This is the effect, this is the threat to internal validity. And in this kind of effect, where participants of control group try harder because they are in control group, means when the participants of control group came to know that they are in control group, they are not giving the particular training. So based on that knowledge, they have tried harder to give test, their post test for better performance. That can be considered as the Avis effect. We may control most of the threats by randomization. The history, maturation, statistical regression, selection bias, selection maturation interaction, these all threats of internal validity can be controlled by randomization. Randomization is the process where we are dividing or we are selecting student on the basis of non-zero probability, where the distribution of subject to the group is also based on randomization. The concept of randomization suggests that the both group, if you are taking 2 group in experiment, the both group were or are the equal in the pre-test condition. So randomization is one of the controlling way by the help of which we can control the threat, most of the threat to internal as well as external threat to validity. There is a three more setup known as placebo, blind, and double blind setup. These three setup will also control over the threats. This is directly related to the treatment effect, characteristics of control group. Placebo, the placebo means fake treatment, fake independent variable. This can be help for recovering AVIS effect. In blind situation, blind setup, there is a two setup, one is blind and one is double blind. In blind setup, participant does not know which group is experimental group and which group is control group. In double blind setup, the trainer or the participant does not know about the which group is control group and which group is placebo or fake training group, and this will enable you to control the threat to internal validity. The threat which is known as instrumentation cannot be controlled by any design. These can be controlled by using the sophisticated or standard instrument, using of standard equipment. Apart from these three threat controlling way of threat, experimental morality, which is also not controlled by any design, this can be only controlled by motivational technique used by researcher and researcher way to help the subject and convey the subject to complete the experiment condition. Whenever we are talking about controlling threat to external validity, large sample size will give you enough strength to generalize your published your research work. So whenever you have to conduct experimental research, sample size is going to be contributing factor. If sample size is large enough, it will control the most of the threats. Randomization is another way to control the external threats, and if you want to control the effect of testing, you have to use Solomon 4-group design, where there are 4 groups. 2 groups will serve as a pre-test, post-test design, and 2 groups will have to serve as a post-test design only. These 4 groups will act as a experimental group, and 2 will have to act as a control group. So I have completed the threads. I have completed the basic concept. I will conclude my presentation with the famous quote by David Machine: "A well-designed study, poorly analyzed, can be rescued by a reanalysis, but poorly designed study is beyond the redemption of even sophisticated statistics." So this is my suggestion. If you wish to conduct experimental research, you have to give more emphasis on the design, collection of data, not on the statistical techniques. I have used these 2 books. Apart from this, I have used the research book of experiment John W. Bass. So special thanks to this book. Thank you, HRDC, Director HRDC, Gujarat University. Thank you, Coordinator Sir. Thank you, Co-Coordinator Jigyasha Ma'am, for giving me this opportunity. Platform is open. You may ask questions. I have taken lots of time. I know that.
Thank you, sir.